Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. UFC 261 was last night, and in the crowd was Nick Diaz. They showed him multiple times on the broadcast. And Dana White was asked about this at the post fight presser, and he said that Nick Diaz was looking for a fight. Nick Diaz has not fought in over 6 years since he fought against Anderson Silva and lost, but then it was overturned to a no contest. And since that last fight, there's been speculation for 6 years when Nick Diaz is going to return. A lot of people say they're not interested. They are interested. It was very weird for a while there. Nick Diaz was doing nothing but getting drunk, smoking weed. This is based off his own Instagram stories and posts on social media. But people just love the Diaz brothers, and they're always obsessed with him. They always want to see him return. Recently, Nick Diaz has posted some pictures online, showing that he's in great shape. There's been speculation. He did a weird interview with Ariel maybe a year and a half ago or something like that, that he wanted to return and fight Jorge Masvidal. And in that interview, he seemed very, very off. It was very strange. After the interview, everyone was like, I don't want to see him fight again. Nick has always been like this. I mean, Nate is a little bit like this as well. But this interview was particularly bizarre, and a lot of people noted that it was very bizarre. And they were like, I don't know if he's in the mental capacity to fight. But anyway, Dana said last night at UFC 261 post-fight presser that Nick Diaz is looking to return to the UFC, and Dana White said, yeah, we'll give him a fight. And somebody suggested that he fights Khamzat Chimaev, which is just crazy, and I don't even know how to feel about it. But, man, Nick Diaz has not won a fight since, and I had to look this up because this is what I thought was the truth, but I couldn't remember if it was actually right or not because it's been so long. He has not won a fight since UFC 137, almost 10 full years ago. Do you know how insane that is? He has not won a fight in 10 years. That's just insane. So he beat BJ Penn. That was his last win, which is crazy. Then he lost to Carlos Condit in that close decision. Then he lost to George St. Pierre. Then he lost to Anderson Silva, which is now a no contest technically. And now, at the post fight presser, they speculated, could Khamzat Chimaev be a potential opponent for Nick Diaz? And while I'm not in love with this idea, I say hell, I don't. Why not? There's no title implications. One thing I said in my pre-fight to UFC 261 for the main event, Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal 2, was I was really scared that if Jorge Masvidal won the welterweight belt somehow, that the division was just going to run to shambles. Nate Diaz might be getting a title shot. Conor McGregor might be getting a title shot. Nick Diaz might be getting a title shot. Kamaru Usman won. Thank God we don't have to worry about any of those weird permutations of the welterweight title. But now we have a potential very strange fight in the up-and-coming Khamzat Chimaev versus Nick Diaz. Dana White said he wouldn't be opposed to doing that fight, and I just figured I'd do a quick video on it. Khamzat Chimaev is very, very strange. He came into the UFC last year, won 3 fights over the course of like a month and a half or 2 months, something like that. Dominated all 3 guys. But at the end of the day, the best guy he fought was Gerald Meerschaert. Come on now. Come on. He's looked impressive in all 3 UFC fights, but the guys he's fought, okay, come on. People need to kind of slow down the hype a little bit. He knocked out Gerald Meerschaert in the first round. The UFC, and I also said this recently in a video, the UFC then booked Khamzat Chimaev versus Leon Edwards in December. Now, the reason the UFC wanted Khamzat Chimaev versus Leon Edwards is because if Khamzat was to beat Leon Edwards, then they were going to give him a title shot. The way his star was rising at this point, he was becoming a massive star. People knew his name. People cared about him, even only off of 3 nobody wins in the UFC. People really cared about Khamzat Chimaev and still do. December fight fell off. They rescheduled it for January. January fight fell off. They rescheduled it for March. That's how desperate they were for Khamzat Chimaev to fight Leon Edwards to potentially earn himself a title shot. That March fight obviously fell out again. They did Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards, and then they just decided to move on from it. Khamzat potentially retired at one point in time, but now supposedly he's looking to return in July or August. That's straight from him and his manager. And now it's kind of up in the air what to do with him. I did a video where I said I would like to see him fight a guy like Michael Chiesa. But to be honest, not that I'm not super interested in the return of Nick Diaz. He's such an unknown at this point. Even I would say most of fans that are fans now maybe have never even seen him fight. He hasn't fought in so long. It's been so long, fan turnover and whatnot. There's probably a lot of people that's never even seen him fight. If he's in shape, he's ready to go. I'm okay with seeing him fight, but at this point, how old is he? Let me look this up real quick. I want to see how old he is. He's 37 years old, so he's getting up there. But if he's in good shape and he wants to fight and he's at the I don't know, man. A lot of people were questioning his mental capacity, what was going on with him. The interview he did with Ariel for like an hour was very bizarre. He was ranting. You couldn't tell even what he was saying at some points. There was talk of alcohol problems, drug use problems. But if all that, forget about all that. If he's ready to go, he's good to go to fight. He can be cleared to fight. He's in good shape. The Khamzat Chimaev fight would draw a lot of interest. I mean, Nick Diaz has like a cult follow. The Diaz brothers in general just have like a cult following, and Nick Diaz would draw in that interest. And then on the other side, you have Khamzat Chimaev, who had garnered a lot of interest. It kind of cooled off now that he was sick and fell out of a lot of fights and hasn't fought in a while now. But putting those two together, and I wonder where they would put that. Would they put that on like a pay-per-view, like a co-main or something like that, or down the card on a pay-per-view? Because if that's a main event for a pay-per-view, I'm absolutely not paying for that. That has no business being the main event of a pay-per-view. I don't think the UFC would do that. I have a feeling they're not going to put this fight together anyway, just for reasons I'll get into in a minute. But it could be kind of fun. You have Nick Diaz, who has a cult following. You have Khamzat Chimaev, who borderline has a cult following already. Both of them are, for me personally, they're relatively unknown. Nick Diaz, we can go off his abilities, but at the end of the day, he hasn't fought in 6 years and he hasn't won a fight in 10 years. So we have no idea at this point where his abilities are. We can gauge him at that point in time, but it's the amount of time that's passed is so hard to tell where he's at. So I just say he's an unknown. As far as Khamzat Chimaev, he's looked amazing. But the names on his resume are literally nobodies. The best guy he's beaten is Gerald Meerschaert. Come on. So you have two relatively unknown, as far as where their skills are at, right now in their careers, fighting each other. You have two, guys with cult-like followings. It could be fun. But as far as on the Nick Diaz side, I think this is a nightmare matchup for him. Anybody who knows Nick Diaz's skill set, and again, we don't know where he's improved, where he's declined, has it gotten better, has it gotten worse. But the Diaz brothers in general, their number one weakness forever has been wrestling. And what Khamzat Chimaev's strength is. What is his strength? His main strength is his grappling ability, his wrestling, his dominant wrestling. People keep liking to compare him to Khabib. So I don't know if Nick Diaz is going to want to take that fight. Especially Nick Diaz has always been a guy, he wants, big fights. He wants ranked guys. Again, Nate Diaz, same thing. He wants, he wanted Jorge Masvidal. He wants a big name. So I guess Khamzat could fit that just because of the interest he would garner. But the matchup style, I don't like his chances, Especially you have a young guy in Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat, coming in, just taking most people down and just dominating them on the ground. Khamzat's only 26 years old against a 37-year-old Nick Diaz. Come on. I think Khamzat would probably come in, take him down, beat him up on the ground. Nick does have great jiu-jitsu, so maybe, he could stifle maybe Khamzat wouldn't want to take him to the ground because of that. And then it would be a majority striking battle, which maybe the Nick Diaz of old, again, we have no idea where his striking skills are at this point. Maybe the Nick Diaz of old could beat him on the feet. But it's so hard to say. But it would generate a lot of interest. I don't know how I feel about it. I would prefer to see a Khamzat Chimaev versus, maybe a Michael Chiesa, like I mentioned in a previous video. Nick Diaz, I wouldn't mind seeing him like eased into competition, maybe against a Robbie Lawler, who's an aging Robbie Lawler. That's a rematch that people have clamored for years. They fought so many years ago in a crazy fight. But maybe work Nick Diaz back into the action, see where his abilities are, and then go from there. But this is such a weird thing. I don't really have a lot of interest in seeing Nick back. But if he's ready to go, it could get interesting. Let me know in the comments, who do you want to see Nick Diaz fight in return? Because it looks like it's going to be inevitable that Nick Diaz is going to return. So just let me know, who would you match him up with? Would it be Khamzat Chimaev? I don't know. For me, I feel weird about it. I don't know what to think about it, but I wanted to make a video about it. I'll be doing a prediction video for Yuri Prochaska versus Dominic Reyes. I'll be probably putting that out tomorrow, so make sure you guys check that out. Make sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe, and thank you for watching.